Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being with us in the heart of Athens, where a company started a couple of years ago from Athens, but its ambition was the world. And I'm super thrilled to have with me the person who was crazy enough to try, but also persistent and bold enough to make it happen. So please help me welcome on the stage co-founder and CEO of Kaizen Gaming, George Daskalakis. It's a special moment, particularly for Greek founders, George, because you made it happen. And I want to take us back to the start. So why don't we begin by telling us a few things about the first steps of Kaizen Gaming. How was it back then to start building the company?
How much time do we have?
I've been told 20, but with you on stage, they'll give us extra time.
Thank you, Niko. Look, to say we started with a global ambition would be a lie. It was 2006. I had already met my partner, Dimitris, and we wanted, after 4 years in the sports betting industry, to establish a company in Greece. And being naive, when you're mid-20s, I thought that since I was successful in my role in my previous company, I was ready to start a company. Little did I know. It took a long time to get where we are today. Just an example is that from 2006, we were 6 people when we started, and to go live with our first Stichiman site, it took us 6 years. Yeah. Because for 6 years we were waiting for the legislation to arrive, and you know, when you're young, you think legislation moves fast. We found out the hard way it takes a long time. And by 2012, we were 20 people, 20 very hardworking people with an ambition to first of all survive. Like all of you here who are startuppers, who have started a company, the first step is to survive. Back then it was a very difficult time. Those of you who are from Greece know that the crisis was at its peak. It was a very difficult time to start a company, nevertheless expanded abroad. And within 2 years, we had managed to go from a startup to, let's say, the number 4 player in our industry. And then the trouble started. Yeah. In 2015, we had the capital controls, the banks closed, and that meant that overnight, we lost 93% of our business. I think that was a pivotal moment for us. Everybody who has been through tough times knows that these are the times that create character, and this was the time I think that Kaizen's character was formed. Yeah. Initially, we were at shock. We thought it was over, but then we responded, and what we learned was that crisis is opportunity. And usually at that time, most people will step back. We saw international competition step back, and we pushed forward. And from that moment, we managed to become the market leader in Greece within a year. This is when the international ambition started. Yeah. I'm sure we'll talk about that later. Many more stages, many more crises. COVID, 2020, overnight sports were not taking place. We lost 50% of our business again, but if you've lost 93%, you can manage with losing 50 overnight. And for the past 4 years, I would say, there hasn't been a major crisis, but here we are. I'm sure the world has more surprises in store for us, and we're eager to see what's next.
No, absolutely. And this is why I say crazy enough to try, because there were so many difficulties, right? You had capital controls, then you had the pandemic, you kept building, you made it happen. Very quickly, how do you think that these sorts of crises make you stronger, and what are sort of the lessons you keep applying today from overcoming these hardships?
I think, as they say, you know, hard times create strong people. Yeah. Strong people create good times. Good times sometimes create weak people, and weak people create hard times. We're towards the end of that sequence now. We've learned, and we have a lot of confidence, because once you've been through trouble and you manage to survive, then you're ready to go at it again when the next hard time comes, and we build character out of that moment with the capital controls and also with COVID. Yeah. Now we have to make sure we're not complacent, yeah, because maybe hard times are ahead. But so definitely we build character, that's for sure.
Yeah, and let's talk about now. And you've been doing something phenomenal, which is to scale beyond the country's borders, and you're doing it successfully. So walk us through how you enter new markets, what worked, what didn't, how was sort of the scaling beyond the borders of this country?
No, we were backstage with Niko. And Niko is a very talented guy, and he was in New York, and he was telling me, in New York they say, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. But then, as you said yourself, if you can make it in Greece, you can make it anywhere. Yeah. So once you manage to overcome the difficulties here, expanding It's not easy, obviously, but let's say you've strengthened your stamina with Greece. It was another story of failures. Sometimes I think that probably Lars, who had invited me yesterday with a founder session where they talked about fuck-ups, because I can assure you we've done so many fuck-ups in these 20 years, plenty of them. And the first one was our expansion. We thought we were good enough to build an international brand, and we chose Poland. The only right decision was that Poland was a great country with great demographics, and as you all know, in the last 10 years it grew a lot. Everything else was wrong. It was not the right market choice. We didn't know how to build teams locally. We didn't customize our product the right way.
Yep.
I think pretty much it was a disaster, and within a year we had to shut it down. But then came Romania, which was the right time, the right market, and with a lot of learnings from the failure we had in Poland. And that was the story that gave us the confidence that now there was a proof of concept. We could do it outside Greece. We're not just a local champion anymore. And from then on, as we say in Greek, as you eat, the appetite grows. And today we're in 20 markets and looking forward to expanding further. And definitely there has been a lot of hard work along the way. I see many members of my team here, and you know, it's a great journey.
Yeah. And let me double down on this here, because you are operating in 20 markets. You started as a startup. So what becomes more difficult in that transition when you go from a startup to now a big player, 20 markets, from culture to operations? How do you manage that sort of leap?
No, I always say companies are a little bit like babies. So there is a life cycle. Like for those of you who have children, you know the challenges increase with time. The same happens with scale. But there are different stages. It's not like you're a startup and then you are there. You go through various stages. You have to adapt. In the past, I was much more strict with both myself and my people. Nowadays, I acknowledge that, like with children, you have to be patient. You have children and adolescents, you know they're going to make mistakes. You know it's a natural part of the progress for them to not be mature enough. The same stands with companies. So you're bound to make mistakes, and you should not be disappointed by them. You should learn, take heart, and mature. And I think our company has been maturing. Even now, as we speak, I think we're still in the end of adolescence. The challenges are many. When you grow, one thing is the people side, cultures. We are in Greece, we are in Brazil, we are in Ghana. Very different people, very different cultures, very different time zones. And then you have, of course, operational stuff. You cannot be as fast as you were, so you have to be smart. You want control, but also you want to give flexibility to local teams. It's a never-ending game. All you can do is, be honest with yourself, identify your weaknesses, listen to your people, and try to gradually improve them. And I think it never ends. As for Kaizen, I think we're getting close to becoming adults. Probably in the next couple of years, I think we're going to get to another stage.
You've hit 20, so you're adults now.
Yeah,
you're in 20 markets.
Maybe it will be tougher after you're an adult. Let's see, I don't know. Let's see.
I love your message about risk appetite, because it's something we say a lot in Europe, right? Founders have to have appetite for risk, so be bold, etc. What are some of the other advice you have for the founders that are here in the room? As someone who tried it and made it work, what's the message you want to give them, especially Greek founders?
Look, I think basically, to be honest with you, that's the main reason I'm here. My team knows I'm not a very big fan of making public appearances. I see my director of corporate comms. I can tell you I'm a nightmare. She comes and tells me every time, when are you going to give an interview? I'm like, yes, Sofia, maybe once a year or next year. So apologies, Sofia, for that. I know I've been a pain. But we started here and we got very little help. Very little help. We bootstrapped this company with 700,000 euro. And I was talking to Matti last night. I said, Matti, within a few years, you built a decacorn. We built a decacorn in Greece. It took us 20 years. And it's been a hard ride. It's been a hard ride. And sitting where we are today, I think we have an obligation to the younger people, to the Greek ecosystem, to contribute in the next day. I always believed a lot in Greek human capital. I'm biased, I'm Greek, but it was one of the reasons we stuck here. We brought a lot of great people in the team. We had loyalty. Sometimes we were discussing with competitors. Every 14 months, the people would churn. We built a team with cohesion. Everybody bought in the vision, and we worked very hard. And I think, being totally honest, we're not the smartest. We are not the best out there. I've met many people who have been, much smarter than us and better educated. But we learned the hard way. We built a togetherness. We built trust. We had a vision. We served it. And we fought. We never gave up. And I'm very proud of my team. And I think that now there are so many young people here. They have to see if we made it, if we built a decacorn from Greece, You can do it.
Make it.
Yes, there will be failure for many, but you can do it because the conditions nowadays are better. Greece has progressed. We see this event here that has been organized. The attendance is massive. It's clear that things are improving. So I think, our duty is to be able to inspire and help young people from Greece build stuff. And I'm very happy when I see great Greeks achieving a lot abroad. I'll be even more happy when in a few years we see companies that will become bigger and greater than Kaizen, and we'll have people here. We have almost more than 1,500 people working here, and we're very happy about it. So the message is, yes, you can be crazy enough. At times, it feels that things are not going to happen. And to a classic question that they ask me, would you do it all over again? There are two answers to this. The first one is, obviously knowing how it went, I would do it every time. It's been the privilege of a lifetime to lead such a team, to experience this journey. I'd never imagined we'd be here. But the other answer is that with the way I think now, as somebody in their late 40s, I would probably never have made the decisions I made in the past 20 years. And we're having a discussion with our partner Dimitris the other day about the decision made using AI and challenging some stuff we were discussing internally. I said, Dimitri, how many of the things we did do you think we have done if we consulted AI during the last 20 years? He said, almost nothing.
It was nothing.
So I guess you have to be crazy enough, take some risks, and hopefully you need luck, you need good people, but you need to insist and to have a vision, and I think to build. We never targeted valuations. We never targeted profit. We always targeted to build. Building is such a satisfying feeling. Seeing people within your team grow and see individuals from Greece stepping up and now competing at the top stage where, top 5 company in our industry is very fulfilling. So I hope that I'm going to be sitting somewhere here in a couple of years and other people will be on this stage younger and better than us and will tell Greek success stories that will inspire Greeks to stay in Greece and build and help this ecosystem thrive.
I love asking this question to a lot of founders and builders, which is, if you were to time travel, you said you do a lot of things differently now, right? But if you had to pick one thing that you would do differently from the start, what is that? And what has that taught you about the way you make decisions today?
Yeah, I think the tradition, everybody in the room who's Greek knows that when we build B2C companies in Greece, we build them for Greece. And so did we. Of course, you say you were a startup, you couldn't survive, you had 700K. Still, I think in today's world especially, I'm not saying that you can start from day one and be an international company, but the mindset, the way you build a company has to include that, and we didn't do that in the early stages, which later on created some debt which we had to deal with in order to become international.
Right.
And I think, as I said earlier, Greek companies can definitely compete internationally and should nowadays build with a mindset of aiming high from very early on. I repeat, pragmatic stuff. I'm not saying day one you go everywhere, but in the back of your mind, when you build something, when you build technology, when you build structure, you have to think, how am I going to utilize the fact that the world nowadays is open?
Yeah.
It's not like the world I grew up was not open. I'm lucky. I was a product of the people who studied during the internet era. Now we have the AI era. It's such a huge opportunity for many people here. So build locally, but aim internationally would be my message in that sense.
Let me double down a bit on the talent. You mentioned AI. You've maintained a lot of your R&D presence here by choice. So tell me, why did you make that choice? What does this show about the technology ecosystem we have in this country?
The first is because we are proud that we have a company here in Athens and in Thessaloniki as well. So we insisted that we wanted to have this Greek character. Many people were telling me, why don't you move this to Sofia or to Estonia? We wanted to do it here. We wanted to keep this company in Greece. And the partners were always very supportive of that. At the same time, we believe there was a lot of local talent here. And local talent with a lot of capability, with reasonable cost compared to other European countries. And as I said earlier, we built that togetherness. And for us, we wanted to create a technology company that offers a gaming product, and not a gaming company that uses technology. So at some point, eventually, I see our CTO, Dimitris, sitting right opposite to me. We had to develop our in-house technology in order to scale further. It was a very demanding project, but Dimitris and the team did a very good job. And obviously, thanks to that, we managed to scale further after 2019, 2020 and be where we are today.
What's next for Kaizen Gaming? What would you say the vision is for the next couple of years?
I think, history has taught us not to plan too far ahead.
Yeah.
We obviously want to become number one in our sector, the biggest betting brand in the world. For those who follow football, we are supporters of the World Cup in FIFA this summer. So we keep building our brand, and we're focusing on customer experience. I think this is what it's all about. We started because we were users. We had this passion to create an experience for sports betting enthusiasts that will be tailor-made to their needs and superior to what we saw there from the competition, and we still try to insist and do that. Again, I see members of my team that are working very hard in order to keep the experience side at the top of our game and at the top of the industry. And it's not just what we say. For example, the last 2 years, we have received the Operator of the Year award in the industry. 2 years, we have been number one in a row. So it looks like people out there are appreciating the good work that the team is doing. And we'll continue doing that, building our brand, building the experience, and most of all, trying to be a good company.
Okay, and to wrap it up, because I really think you're the embodiment of crazy enough to try, but as I said in the beginning, persistent enough to make it work. We talked about ambition. What's a sort of practical advice you would give to founders that are ambitious to actually make their ambition work, to make it happen, so that it's not just, let me say, a delusional ambition, but it's the ambition that will take them to the markets that they want to scale?
One advice to founders is like, you have the secret of life or business. There's no such thing. I mean, I know it's a classic question. It would be, I would be lying if I said you do this one thing and you're successful. I mean, can I say two?
Yes, absolutely.
I would say something very important to young founders especially, make sure you have the right partners, whether it's a co-founder or whether you are adding partners along the way. I know there is pressure. If you can maintain control along with your partners, that's great. It's very important. You might not think about it now, but you will find it in your way in years. If you can't maintain control, make sure sometimes you might get a smaller ticket by the right partner rather than take the bigger ticket, because it might seem attractive at the moment when you're struggling, but the cost will be big down the road. So it's very important to find the right partners. And the second one would be, I think this is more personal. It's very dangerous to fall into the identity trap. You have to not lose yourself.
Yeah.
Companies are big and are important, and they take a big part of our energy in life, but you mustn't lose yourself. You must, there's family, there's friends, you must have your own unproductive hobbies that take your mind off it, and don't make it a big deal. I mean, stay humble. Life continues, things go up, things go down. You have to, of course, give your everything. I know everybody who's a founder, you must be obsessed, otherwise it won't happen. I can't lie, it's very painful, the hours, but you need to find that separate time and to make sure that you don't create this match between yourself and the company, because that's a big trap, and life is much more than a company. I think that balance also makes you better at work. You have to take care of yourself, take care of your people, be fit, so on and so forth.
You don't want to burn out and burn your ambition as well, right? So it's limit, dream big, but be practical and limit sort of how much building you do. Keep some time for yourself. All right, crazy enough to try, but persistent enough to make it work. George Daskalakis.
One more thing. Please stay on. There's a very special speaker coming up after me. She came all over from France. They built something special and something I think would be great for us to have something similar here in Athens. Thank you very much. Thank you, Niko.
George Daskalakis, ladies and gentlemen.